Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi ma'am, we want to presentation about chapter 1, looking at language learning strategies. The name of our group is Nesi Anggraini, Sintia Afriani, Siti Fadhillah Khairiyah, and me Tasya Kamelia Putri Utomo. We from class 4C. First, I want to presentation about why learning English is important and organization and best use of this book. Why learning English is important? Learning strategies are steps taken by students to enhance their own learning. Strategies are especially important for language learning because they are tools for active, self-directed involvement, which is essential for developing communicative competence. Appropriate language learning strategies result in improved proficiency and greater self-confidence. Organization and best use of this book. The major purpose of this book is to make learning strategies understandable to teachers of second and foreign language, so they can enable students to become better learners. Guidelines for general readers. Most readers of this book might be called general readers, who are interested equally in gaining a broad understanding of language learning strategies and in discovering a variety of applications. Guideline for readers interested mainly in specific strategy assessment and training techniques. Strategy assessment and training are meaningful only if you understand particular strategies and how they can be used in real instance. Practice facilitate the acquisition of language skills, and using and memory strategies are equally useful to both learning and acquisition. For ease of expression, the term learning strategies is used in this book to refer to strategies which enhance any part of the learning acquisition continuum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nesi Anggraini, with student number is 200512623. In this video, I would like to continue the material. A word about terminology. The first one is learning and acquisition. Learning is conscious knowledge of language rules, doesn't typically lead to conversational fluency, and is derived from formal instruction. Acquisition, on the other hand, occurs unconsciously and tenuously, does lead to conversational fluency, and arises from naturalistic language use. The next one is process orientation. The process orientation, building on general systems theory, in which all phenomena are part of a dynamic system, forces us to consider not just the language learning process itself, but also the input into this process. The next one is for language skills. Gaining a new language necessarily involves developing four modalities in varying degrees and combinations: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Among language teachers, these modalities are known as the four language skills or just the four skills. The next one is second language and foreign language. A second language has social and communicative functions within the community where it's learned. In contrast, a foreign language doesn't have immediate social and communicative functions within the community where it's learned. It is employed mostly to communicate elsewhere. The next one is communication, communicative competence, and related concept. Communication is definable as a mutual exchange between two or more individuals which enhances cooperation and establishes commonality. Communicative competence is ability to communicate. And the last one is learning strategies. Learning strategies are operations employed is by the learner to aid the acquisition, storage, retrieval, and use of information. It's useful to expand this definition by saying that learning strategies are specific actions taken by the learner to make learning easier, faster, more enjoyable, more self-directed, more effective, and more transferable to new situations. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, now I will continue our material about features of language learning strategies. First, communicative compliance as the main goal. Language learning strategies. First, contribute to the main goal, communicative competence. Second, allow learners to become more self-direction. Next, expand the role of teacher. And then are problem-oriented, are specific actions taken by the learner, and then involve many aspects of the learners, not just the cognitive. Next, support learning both directly and indirectly, are not always observable, and then are often conscious, and then can be taught. Next are flexible, and the last are influenced by a variety of factors. Second, greater self-direction for learners. Language learning strategies encourage greater overall self-direction for learners. Self-direction is particularly important for language learners because they will not always have the teacher around to guide them as they use the language outside the classroom. Moreover, self-direction is essential to the active development of ability in a new language. Third, new roles for teachers. Teachers traditionally expect to be viewed as authority figures, identified with roles like parent, instructor, director, manager, judge, leader, evaluator, controller, and even doctor, who must cure the ignorance of the students. And the last, other features. The first, problem orientation, action basis, involvement beyond just cognition, direction and indirect support of learning, degree of observability, level of consciousness, teachability, flexibility, and the last one, factors influencing strategy choice. Okay, I think it's all, and thank you.
Okay, I'm Siti Khairiyah. I will continue the next part, and the next part is a new system of language learning strategies. The strategy system differs in several ways from earlier attempts to classify strategies. It's more comprehensive and detailed. It is more systematic in linking individual strategies as well as strategies in group. With each four language skills, there are listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And it uses less technical terminology. Visual and verbal cues are used throughout this book for understanding and remembering the system. Mutual support. It means to say that direct and indirect strategies support each other. To understand this, let's consider an analogy from the theater. The first major class, direct strategies from dealing with new language. It is like the performer in stage play working the language itself in variety of specific tasks and situations. The direct class is composed of memory strategies for remembering and reviewing the new information, cognitive strategies for understanding and producing the language, and also compensation strategies for using the language despite knowledge. The second major strategy class, indirect strategies for general management of learning, can be linked to the director of the play. The director is an internal guide and supports the performance. The function both the director and the performance become part of the learner as she or he accepts increased responsibility for learning. Cautions. It is important to remember that any current understanding of language learning strategies is necessarily in its infancy, and any existing system of strategies is only use a proposal to be tested through practical classroom use and through the research. Classification conflicts are inevitable. A given strategy, such as using synonym if exact word is not known to the learner, it classed by some aspects as learning strategy who think it is merely a communication strategy. Is it not useful for learning? Okay, I think that's all from our group. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.